to the cloud. Here we go. Right, I do know what I'm doing. I have done this before. So welcome everybody to my kitchen. I'm Lyndsay. I've known Sally Ann for, well, quite a few years now. We met as mums at the same primary school, and Jill is also a mum at our primary school. And so it's Sally Ann actually is the person I hold responsible for getting me involved in Thermomix in the first place. Because I'd seen the machine. So my background, I'm a trained chef. I have a food business, or I should say I had a food business, because now I focus full time on Thermomix and demonstrating the Thermomix to customers and fully supporting them in their journey with us. And I'd come across Thermomix a few years ago at an event, and I'd sort of hadn't really engaged with it. Didn't think it was for me. I thought, you know, I'm too good for this. I'm a trained chef. I know what I'm doing in the kitchen. I don't need something to make a white sauce for me. I know how to make it from scratch. And then Sally Ann said to me a few years ago, well, I'm having this demo. Would you like to come and see it? And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I could do. Then I ended up having an almighty argument with my husband that night. And I thought, right, I'm off. And out I went to Sally Ann's demo. And I spent the best part of a few years trying to avoid the advisor that was actually at Sally Ann's house. Funnily enough. And then I got cooking with it. I saw it. Crucially, I saw it making rolls, bread. We did a salad. We did some soup, all sorts of amazing things. And we did it so quickly. And that's really sowed the seed for me. And I just thought, you know what? I think I need one of these in my life. I was getting busier and busier. I now have 4 children. I had 3 at the time. My 4th child might wander in any moment, so do excuse her. I might have to do half the demo holding her because she likes to take part in it. But for me, it really changed my mind about what the Thermomix was all about and what it can do. So I decided about 3 months later to invest in one and buy one, and I was an owner. And then 6 months after that, I decided to join the business just because it fitted really well with my food business. And as they say, the rest is history. And that's really why I'm really passionate about getting people to see these machines in action. Now, it's almost as good as seeing it in the flesh. Obviously, you're not going to get to taste the food, but you'll certainly get a really good appreciation of what can be done with it. So today we have got a great menu. We are going to do an all-in-one salmon dish. So you can see my Thermomix is set up behind me, and this is the sort of the top hat. It's got some salmon in it sitting there already. This is our steaming unit. It's called the Baroma. It's not used in all recipes, but it can be really useful. And the Thermomix is sort of known for being able to cook on a multi-level basis. So while you've got something cooking like a sauce or a soup in the bottom, you can be steaming vegetables or rice. So we have a simmering basket here that sits inside. And then you've got this Baroma sitting on the top. So the residual heat will allow you to cook more vegetables or some protein, steamed fish and chicken, etc. in the top, where you're doing everything else underneath. And the real benefit to that is obviously you have less washing up at the end. And that is what the Thermomix is all about for me. It makes you cook more easily, more quickly, and there's a lot less mess to deal with at the end. So that's one of the dishes we're going to do. What I want to show you here is actually just a very quick, I'm going to take you off of my, hopefully there, right, come off of here. And then I'm going to show you what my screen looks like on here, because this is something that you will need to see and you won't see it from a distance. So here's our main screen. Our Thermomix recipes are all set out as a function of time, temperature, and speed. So we have 3 dials here, and this silver button operates all these dials. And whichever dial is highlighted, the button will operate. So that's what it looks like when you first see it. Then if I go into my week, so I can plan all of my recipes that I'm going to cook on a daily, weekly or monthly basis. So here we go. They've got lots of exciting things that I'm cooking today. I've got a bit carried away with booking demos. So you can see the sorts of things I've got in there. And then I've got a few things scheduled Friday and Saturday. And this is one of the features that customers absolutely love, the ability to plan out their food so they only buy the ingredients that are required. So once you've planned out your food and said what you're going to cook, You can then create your shopping list, and then you can sync. Now, this is in the UK only at the moment. I don't know that we've got it in other European markets, but you can sync that shopping list with your online shopping provider. So at the moment, we can order our ingredients directly from Asda, Ocado, Tesco and Amazon Fresh, and you can compare prices across the stores. So it really is a machine that will help you plan, it will help you shop, it will help you cook, and it will wash up for you. And there is nothing else in the world that will do all of that for you. It is just simply life-changing. So let's have a look at what else we've got on this screen. So I have got access to probably about 10,000 recipe books through this machine, through our app. So we have an app that you can download to your phone or iPad, or you can also look at recipes through our website. Our app is called Cookie Do. And you can scroll through recipes as if you were scrolling through the Good Food magazine or the BBC website or Google. You can select those recipes, you can add them to your own folder, so you can create collections, you can add them to your weekly planner as well. And Thermomix also put together collections. So you can see just some of the collections I've got on this machine. And there's a beautiful book here, which I will be using in the run up to Christmas, our Christmas book. So you can just scroll through all of these and have a look at them. And then whichever one you're going to cook, so we're going to make cheese straws, you just click on it and press start cooking. And it's really as simple as that. So not only have you got all the collections that Thermomix put together, you've got the collections as well that you can create. So I organize all my recipes into my own folders, so you can see the sorts of things I've got on here. I've got a folder for absolutely everything. So this just makes it really easy to organize your menu planning. So if I come out of that, I'm just going to show you the main functions on the screen. So we've got weighing scales inbuilt, which you'll see as we go through. And this is often something people don't kind of think about or don't actually realise how useful it's going to be. But I get seriously cross now when I have to get a set of weighing scales out in a bowl in order to weigh ingredients, because it just makes it so easy when you weigh it with the Thermomix. Then you've got a dough mode. So these are all our modes, so we can make dough in a few minutes. Turbo is used for chopping nuts. It cleans itself, as I've mentioned, and it will also determine how long the cycle runs for, depending on what you've got in there. You can tell it's dough, universal, fat or caramel or browning, and it will just get on and clean your bowl out for you. Then it's a blender. We've got a new mode here on the TM6, is the egg boiler. So you can determine how you want your eggs. Do you want your egg yolk runny? Do you want it soft? Do you want it medium? Do you want it hard boiled, or do you want it, thoroughly cooked? So that's something that lots of my customers are playing around with at the moment. You can use this as a kettle. You can warm up food in it. Thicken mode is used for making custards, bechamel, so white sauce or cheese sauce. What else could we do with that? We could make hollandaise sauce and any of the derivatives of a hollandaise sauce. It can be a rice cooker. And then over here, you can ferment yogurt overnight, which is absolutely amazing. You can make your own homemade yogurt. It can be a slow cooker, and you can sous vide with it. So there's a huge amount of things that can be done with it. So without further ado, I am going to get on with cooking a recipe. So let's go back onto my week. And I'm going to start with this one because this requires some cooking. And then in between times, we're going to make some bread, and we're going to make a cake, and we're going to make some lemonade as well. So it walks me through the recipe step by step. And this is the key difference from other cooking methods that you're used to, having to either look at a recipe or a book or some information separately. Here, you've got it all on your screen. So it's going to tell me exactly what to do. I've already done that. So here's my salmon already put on my baking paper in the Veroma dish. Now it wants me to put some soft butter in. I'm just going to have a quick look through the recipe detail because I want to see what that butter's for. Right, I'm going to use it to make a marinade. Okay, so let's go continue. And this is where I'm going to put you back, and hopefully I'm not going to press any buttons in the process. I'm going to put you back up there, and then just turn you around a little bit. And then I'm just going to start cooking following the instructions on the screen. So let me remove this for the time being. I'm just going to remove that and put that to one side. And so I'm resetting my scales to 0. And what you'll see, let's just take you off there. So you'll see my scales
Lyndsay,
have come up.
To say,
yep.
for those that aren't familiar with Zoom, if you look at Lyndsay's, if you're on gallery view and you hover over Lyndsay's page, you'll see 3 little white dots pop up on a blue screen. If you click on that, you can pin her, so you can actually see her screen much bigger. You'll lose the rest of us, but you'll be able to see better her screen, if that's what you'd like.
That's, yeah, good idea. Thank you, because otherwise I'm a little bit small. So I don't quite have 50 grams there. I'm just going to pop in a little bit more. And one of the things you can make in the Thermomix is your own butter. And it's often something I do at demos because people are blown away by it. You can make it in a minute from double cream, and it costs less than buying butter ready-made. And that is the whole ethos with Thermomix, is that you can buy cheaper, fresher ingredients and use the Thermomix to easily make them and save yourself a lot of money off your food shopping. So that's gone in. Right, the honey needs to go in. Let me put you back up here. Like that. So it's asking me to put in 30 grams of honey. So here's my honey. I've got my scales on the front, and it's going to tell me when I get to 30 grams. So all we're making here is a marinade for the salmon. 20 grams of mustard. So that goes straight in. Oh, I didn't talk for too long at the start, which is good. Normally I talk for a good 25 minutes before we get going. So you're in luck. So I'm cooking. Because I'm hungry, see, I missed breakfast this morning. I want something to eat. That's my mustard. Then 10 grams of soy sauce. So it's talking me through the recipe step by step. Now, children can use this. It's so simple. And one of my children, he's now nearly 14, but he's been making us a really amazing restaurant quality curry from scratch, including making his own curry paste in this machine, step by step now for nearly 2 years. So he was obviously 11/12 at the time. And I don't know many 11-year-olds that can make their own restaurant quality curries. So a little bit of pepper. I haven't got that to hand, so I'm not going to worry about that. And now it's telling me to put that lid on, and it wants me to insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, which I'm now looking for in my kitchen. I'll just nick that one out of there, that's fine. Oh, I think I know where it is. I think I actually put it underneath the Varoma, that's it, so that I wouldn't lose it. Okay, so it's asked me to put the lid on, and then I'm just going to turn that speed selector to speed 3, and it's mixing it. So if I bring you down, you can see what's happening on the front. So the recipe, the guided recipe, and this is a guided recipe, it's preset with your time, your temperature, which we haven't got, and the speed, and it tells you what function it's doing. So it's mixing all those ingredients together. So that is the base of the marinade. Then it's told me to click next. So now it wants me to pour over the salmon and seal the parcels. Okay, so I'll just put you back on that while I'm doing it. Ooh. I don't want you to fall down. Like I said, you'll have to bear with me. I might have a few teething problems with this tripod, but I'm hoping it's just tighten you up actually. There we are. Right, so let's get my salmon. And all I'm going to do is pour the marinade ingredients over. So of course you could do this in a bowl with a spoon, but we're going to be using Thermomix anyway. So you're just using the Thermomix to make the marinade ingredients, and we won't have to wash it up. We'll just continue cooking. So it's just less washing up. So there we go. I'm just going to spread it all over the salmon. Make sure I've got everything out of there. And this is a recipe actually I haven't done before, but that's again one of the great benefits of the Thermomix. It walks you through everything step by step. It's a bit like having a trained chef in your kitchen holding your hand, telling you what to do. And so you really can't go wrong. Well, you can go wrong. We once pureed a paella and ended up with baby food, but that was I blamed that on my son, and we turned it into arancini, so the deep fried rice balls afterwards. So all was not lost. Right, now, so I finished that process, and now I'm going to add some olive oil in, and it's just telling me what to do on the screen. So it says weigh in 30 grams of olive oil. So that's going to go straight in. I often do reduce the oil content a little bit. I don't know if you do that, Sally Ann, as well. I don't think you need the full amount, and that's good to know. Obviously, if you're following a restricted diet, or you're on a Slimming World or a Weight Watchers sort of program, you can reduce or increase any of the ingredients accordingly. Now it's asked me for 2 garlic cloves. So here's my garlic. I'm popping it straight in. Then 100 grams of onions. And all you need to do with an onion is take it and peel it, and then either half or quarter it, and they go straight in. So I need another little bit of onion here. Oh, that's going to give me too much. Let me find a little knife so I can cut it in half. 100 grams of onions. And again, it will tell me when I'm there. Then some fresh parsley. So here's my parsley. Pop it in. A little bit more. Once 15 grams. Now I need to put the lid on. So insert the measuring cup into the lid. And we say it's called a measuring cup because it is actually a measuring cup. You've got a 50 and 100 ml measure, and these machines are designed to be as versatile as possible and replace as many items of your kitchen equipment as possible. So really, you could survive with just a Thermomix and an oven. Okay, so now it's going to chop it all up for me. So it's telling me what it's doing. It's going to take 5 seconds just to chop that onion and the garlic and mix it all in with the olive oil. So that's a damn sight quicker than actually chopping it with a knife on a chopping board. Okay, now I'm just going to, so you can see what's happened. It's chopped it all up. I'm just going to scrape down the sides, and again, it will tell me that on the recipe. It already smells lovely, and this will be the base of my soup. And now we're going to start cooking with it. Okay. So if I bring you down again, let me just take you off of this tripod. If I bring you down again, you can see that my dials are now showing 5 minutes, 120 degrees, and I'm going to turn it to speed 1. And the clock is going to count down. And at that point, if you're cooking for a family, you can just walk away or go and do something else, or sit down and have a glass of wine, or get on with your washing up, or help children with homework, or whatever it is that you need to do. So I just find this brilliant because it means I'm not constantly having to think about what stage I'm at with the dinner. It frees up my mind to think about something else. And because it's stirring and temperature controlling for you, you don't need to do anything with it. So while that is sauteing away, you can get on with doing something else if you have another Thermomix. So we are going to make some bread, and I'm going to show you really how easy it is to make bread. So I'll just move you over slightly over here. Now, I'm just using my older model here, the 5. These are the new ones, the 6s. But they've basically got the same functionality. The 6 just has a few more features on it and allows you to do a few more clever things. But the 5 is still a very good model, especially as a second machine. And it's the one that I fell in love with at Sally Ann's house, and the one that Sally Ann still uses to cook with. So I've got my recipe. We're going to do a sun-dried tomato tear and share bread. So this is a really quick dinner roll recipe, and this will be on the table within an hour. So again, it's walking me through the recipe step by step. It's asking me to weigh in some water. So I'm just going to heat that water up a little bit so that it's, so I want to try and make these as quickly as I can. The Thermomix will do it for me. It will heat up the water to 40 degrees, sort of 37 or 40 degrees optimal temperature for rising dough. But because we're a little bit pushed for time today, I am going to just put in some warm water. So 110, that's it, 110 grams. Click on next. Now it's asking me to put some sugar in, a little teaspoon of sugar. You don't have to. So if you really did not want to use sugar, you can miss this bit out. So I'm just going to guess at about a teaspoon. Now I'm going to put in some yeast as well. I always think I've got my things to hand, but there's always something I don't get out before the start of a demo. In this case, it was my salt. So actually, no, I don't want salt at the moment. I just want some yeast. So I'm going to put in a teaspoon of yeast. Okay, so that goes in. Now I'm just going to skip through the next step because it would heat it and mix it all together, which we're not going to do. Now I'm going to put in some strong bread flour. It's asking me for 500 grams of strong bread flour. So here's my flour. That's going to go straight in. And again, just weighing it in on the scales. Yeah. Okay. Leave that behind. Now it's asking me for some sun-dried tomatoes in olive oil. Now here's my sun-dried tomatoes. I'm just going to put them in whole. You're all very quiet. I hope that's a good thing and that you haven't all fallen asleep.
No, it's okay.
Good. Right. There we go. So, and I don't worry about draining them because we're going to use some oil in this recipe anyway. So they go in. Now 30 grams of olive oil. So actually I'm just going to use the olive oil from the tin of tomato or the jar of tomatoes. Why not?
Lyndsay, would you like a piece? Lyndsay, would you like a piece of toast?
Oh, I'd love a piece of toast. Jill.
I'm just doing some. Okay, I thought you might like that.
Yeah, you can bring it round.
Okay, you're doing great. It's brilliant.
Thank you. Now it's asking me for the salt. So a teaspoon of salt goes in. Okay. Click on next. Oh, come on. Put that lid on. And now my dough function has come on, my kneading function. So it is just going to take 2 minutes and all I have to do is turn the speed selector dial to start it to knead. Now, my dog groomer is at the gate and she's saying she can't get in. So hold on a minute. I will just tell her that she needs to walk down. How do I do this? You can't make this stuff up, can you? Hi. Foot gate is open. It's open. So the dog's going to go bananas in a minute. Oh, gate. I've just put foot hate gate. Right. There we go. So hopefully she's going to arrive. I'll be able to tell because if the dog starts barking. So let's show you what's going on here while I've got you off. So can you see it's kneading away? And we've got this super fast knead function, which means you can knead dough in about 2 minutes. So most breads will knead in 2 minutes in here, which is unbelievable. So I'm just going to leave that to knead away. And on this machine, it's told me that it's done that step. So it's sauteed those onions and garlic together. It's temperature controlled it, which is brilliant. And that is why I think people always comment when they have soups made in the Thermomix and curries and other dishes made in the Thermomix, how different they taste to if they'd have just made it themselves. And I strongly believe it is down to the fact that the Thermomix temperature controls that cooking process of the onions and garlic. So it means they're just perfectly cooked and they're not overdone and develop those bitter flavors, and they're not underdone or develop and have that raw onion and garlic flavor. Okay, so now it wants me to remove 2 teaspoons and reserve. I don't know what it's all on about there, but I will do as I'm told. I do like to ignore these recipes sometimes, but I will take out, it's obviously going to use it either to dress something or to put in with the salmon. So I will do that. Okay, now it wants me to add in 400 grams of tomatoes, half. So let me just show you. So there's my dough. Okay. Let me just see if Melina has come to the door to pick up the dog. Is she here? Is Melina here? No, can't see her yet. Get a lead ready for you. Hopefully she'll come down. Just double check if she's got my message. Sorry about this. Well, she hasn't responded, so let's hope she is. Right. So my dough's done, and we'll deal with that in a minute, but I just want to move on to the next stage of the salmon recipe. So what it wants me to do now is put in 400 grams of tomatoes halved. So here's some, actually we've got some nice tomatoes in Lidl, not quite like Italian tomatoes, but they do smell, at least they do smell like tomatoes. And then I haven't quite got 400, so I'm just going to chop up with a little bit of chopped tomatoes that I had already open and I want to use up, because this is just going to make like a little tomato soup or a sauce to go with the fish. Then it wants me to add in 150 grams cut into pieces of carrots. So again, I'm just weighing those carrots directly into the bowl. I'm going to click on next, and 100 grams of butternut squash. So again, cut into pieces. The dog, can you hear the dog? He's going. So that means I think Marlena's arrived to take him. So 100 grams of butternut squash. So let's just take you off here and show you what that looks like. Ooh. Can you see in there? So everything just being put into that bowl. And here's my scales on the front as well. So I've just overshot the butternut squash. That's fine. A little bit of extra veg is fine by me. Now it wants me to add some sea salt into it. So let's get my salt, which I think is still around the corner. And I put half a teaspoon of salt in. Now I'm going to put that lid on, telling me just to put the lid on. And my guess is it's going to chop it all up now into little pieces. So click on next. Yes, 5 seconds. Again, 5 seconds, speed 5. And you'll just come to know these settings if you want to adapt your own recipes to a Thermomix method. So I generally will chop for 5 seconds at speed 5 if I've got vegetables that I want to chop up. You can hear some pretty big pieces in there. So I've just put my hand on it to stop it wobbling about everywhere. And I'll have a look. I might need to chop it again. It doesn't look too bad, actually. Let me show you what it looks like. Pull you off again. So there's a few big pieces, but then I put some huge chunks of butternut in there. So that's absolutely fine, because it's just going to cook down in soup, in water rather, to make a stock for soup. So I'm not offended by those chunks. Let me just give it a little stir though, just to get rid. Oh, it looks and it smells amazing already, to get rid of everything stuck around the side. Now add 800 grams of water. So here we are. Here's some water going in. So again, all I need to do is use the scales to work out how much I put in. And there's some more water around here from the bread. Just putting in, sometimes I put in hot water, but I haven't got it to hand. So we'll just use room temperature water. And of course, now I've put water all over the front of my screen, which it really isn't going to like. So I'll just dry that off. Okay, just make sure I'm at the right step. 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. Love oregano. So here's my rather comedy-sized tub of oregano. We get through a lot of it. So that just goes in. And now it's asking me to insert the simmering basket. Now, where did I put? Here it is. So here's the simmering basket, and I've already got my rice weighed into it just to save a little bit of time. So that simmering basket just goes in there. Okay. Now it's asking me to weigh 180 grams of rice into the simmering basket. So that's gone in there. Now it did want quick cook rice. I'm not sure my rice is quick cook, but hopefully it will cook in the time. Oh, now add the reserved garlic mixture. So remember, I took out a little bit of garlic mixture. There, I put that back in. I put that in. So that's obviously going to be cooked in with the rice. That's going to give huge amounts of flavour into that rice. No. Click on next. A little bit of sea salt again. So just to season the rice. And mix it well with the spatula. So again, that instruction is all on the screen. So it's a bit like cooking by numbers, actually. You can't really make a mistake unless you skip through the step. It's all there in the screen. And as one of my customers said, it's just like having a chef in an earpiece telling you what to do and how to cook. And then you produce your own restaurant quality food at the end. So mix well with the spatula. Now it wants me to place the covered Veroma dish into position. So remember the salmon? Here it is. So I've got the salmon with a little marinade on. Now, I didn't actually cut my piece of greaseproof big enough to make a little packet to cook it with, but never mind. And actually, I've used a whole side or a half side of salmon in here rather than a couple of fillets, which it recommended. So I might have to just slightly increase the cooking time. But 18 minutes, I would expect normally to see a piece of salmon steam away in 18 minutes. So all I'm going to do then is, you can just have a little look at my screen. It's 18 minutes. Veroma just means steaming temperature. So it's just gone slightly above 120 degrees. And all I'm going to do is turn my speed selector to 2. And there it goes. It's cooking away. So it's making a soup in the bottom. And oh, hang on a minute. So were you trying to ask a question, Dan? Or are you
No, just I'm getting my dog. No, my dog was just trying to get the sofa.
Oh, so. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Hello, dog. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dog's not going to be very happy with me. He hates going off to the groomer.
Oh,
so never mind. Right.
Shame.
So let's bring you round now. I'm going to try and bring you round. Let's see what I have to disconnect here. Because I'm going to show you how I deal with the bread next. So I just take the little light off and bring my tripod right the way round. This is exciting. Here we are.
And
so you can
Lyndsay?
see, yes.
Quick question. So the sauce that's being cooked at the very bottom, is that got extra water in it that is steaming the rice and the fish?
Yes, it has. Yeah, absolutely.
So by the time the cooking time's gone and the steam is gone, the sauce is perfect, the fish is perfect, the rice is perfect.
Yeah, it all cooks through. It's an all-in-one recipe. Now, I'm not very good with this tripod yet, so you won't see me, but you're just going to see my work surface, which is fine. So that's all you really need to see for the dough. So here's my beautiful sun-dried tomato dough. And all I'm going to do here is take it out. Now, a lot of people ask me, how can you take the bowl apart? And yes, you absolutely can. So you can take the blades out, they drop off, and then the whole thing can be put in the dishwasher. So it just makes it really easy to clean afterwards. I love these little dough scrapers, but again, we even give you a spatula, which comes with the Thermomix. And the reason it does is because you can see it's got a little lug in there that hooks into the simmering basket, and you'll see that later, and enables you just to take out the simmering basket carefully. So it's a bit like a saucepan handle, so you don't burn yourself. And they really, really do think of everything. So let's just pop my bowl back together. And then here's my lovely dough. So all I'm going to do is just give it a quick knead, and then this will make the full recipe. I've halved the recipe. The full recipe makes about 10. But all I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of make 5 or 6 rolls. And I'm going, actually, no, I might just make 4 rolls. There we go. I usually weigh them and portion them into sort of 85, 90 gram pieces. That one's a little bit lower. So there we go. I've got my 5. Oh, 90 grams. That's okay. I've got a set of weighing scales here, so I just can keep an eye on them. That's the chef in me, wanting everything to be absolutely perfect and equal and perfectly portioned. And also, the reason we do that is that, of course, people would be very unhappy if some people got a smaller roll than others, but they cook, they prove, and they will cook evenly as well. So all I'm doing here, you can see what I'm doing, is I'm just sort of shaping them. I'm going what they call round the clock. Lots of bakers don't bother with this, but I like it. I think it just gives them a really nice shape. So I'm just pulling out a little bit of dough and then tucking it into the center. Okay, round we go, like that. And then the fun bit, where you roll them in your hands. You can do 2 at a time, but I think my mat is going to slip because I don't have anything holding it underneath, but let's give it a go. So just roll them using a sort of a claw hands into shape like that. Let's do that one and that one at the same time. So yes, Paul Hollywood would always say, you've got 2 hands, I'll pay you half a wage if you don't use both of them. And then there's just one left. That's what he was told by his dad when he was a boy working in the bakery. Okay, so there's my lovely rolls. And all I'm going to do now is just put them straight on a baking tray. So if you make bread, you'll think, why hasn't she left it to prove? And often with Thermomix recipes, with bread recipes, you can miss out that first prove, which is really exciting because it means that we get bread out within about just over an hour. And then I'm going to cover it with a piece of greased cling film and just pop that. Let's pull you up so you can sort of see me. And now we'll turn it around, pop it into a warm oven. So I'm going to prove these. If you're lucky enough to have a proving drawer at home, you can put them in a proving drawer. But I'm just going to put it in a 50-degree oven, a really low oven. I've switched my fan off. And I'm going to prove them for about 40 minutes or so. So I'm going to actually turn that up slightly. Yeah, there we are, because I turned it down slightly too low. So that is the bread done. And bread is absolutely fantastic to make in your Thermomix. And I ran a sourdough workshop actually over the weekend. Sally Ann, I don't think you joined that in the end, did you? The sourdough workshop.
I'm struggling to unmute myself. Yeah, no, I really wanted to join you, but I was just too busy with Stephen away.
Yeah, so this is the sort of added value that I offer to my customers. As a chef, you get the benefit of my experience and my skills. So I often will run skills workshops for my customers to get to grips with obviously using their Thermomix, but using their Thermomix to make all sorts of things that they'd have never thought of or never thought was possible before. And yeah, so I took about 30 people through making sourdough from scratch on a series of lives. And we did everything from getting the starter ready to making the leaven to making the dough. And the Thermomix just takes all the pain out of it. And although it's a 24-hour process or 36-hour process, you've actually only been hands-on for about 5 minutes of that. So it's been lovely to see everybody's really got into it now and sharing their posts now of all the bread that they've made subsequently. So it's about giving people skills for life that they can use with or without a Thermomix, really. Okay, so that's the bread done. Now I'm going to come on. So this is still just cooking away and it's telling me it's only 80 degrees. So if I'd have used hotter water in there, I think it might have cooked a little bit more quickly, but I'm going to keep an eye on that salmon anyway. Because I've got a big piece in there, I think it's going to take a little bit longer than 20 minutes, but I'll take a view because now we are going to come on to make some pudding. So I've been going probably about, I think it was about 20 past 10 I actually started cooking, wasn't it, Sally Ann? And already we've made a whole main course and we're just letting it cook. We've made some bread to go with it or to have as a starter. Usually I would also make a little bit of butter in these demos, but I've got 3 demos today. So I'm spacing out what I do between all the demos. So I'm going to do demo a little bit later on. And now we're going to make a pudding. Now this is a pudding that I came across yesterday. I have a lot of people who buy these machines because they are on gluten-free or dairy-free or plant-based diets. Or looking for options for reducing sugar in what they eat. And because we have 60,000 recipes on our database, there are options for everybody. And we're constantly bringing out new recipes as well. And there are quite a few healthy living sort of consultants that advocate the use of Thermomix because it makes it really easy and fun to make different types of food. So let's have a little look. at this recipe. So I've not done it before. It could be a complete disaster. I'm not telling my children it's got a tin of chickpeas in it. We're just going to go for it and see what happens. So I'm going to put my oven on, which it will tell me at the start. So this is a blueberry and white chocolate tray bake. So again, I mean, you can do, if you're sort of sugar-free, you can do all these little bliss balls that, which I'm sure Sally Ann, you all have done, using dates and lots of nuts and dried fruits. You can make up these beautiful bliss balls, all sorts of different flavors, carrot cake, lemon and coconut. What else have I done? I've done coffee flavored ones, and they're healthy, refined sugar-free. They've probably got lots of calories in them from the nuts, but they're just a nice little sort of naughty treat if you are on a sugar-free diet. So let's have a look at that. Right, now it's asking me to grease the sides and line the base of a square cake tin. Now add in, oh no, this is not the one I want to do. That's the one I'm doing later. So let me go back to, this had white chocolate in it, which is not the one I want to do. So let's just go down here and click start cooking. Okay. Right, so I'm going to put in some almonds. 230 grams of almonds are going to go straight into this machine. Let's take, okay. Might not have quite enough. That's all right. I've got some ground almonds somewhere. That doesn't matter. Right. The lid on, and this is going to grind almonds in, I think it's 8 seconds. So again, I mean, you can make your own plant-based milks. I've got a lot of customers that make almond milk, oat milk, cashew nut milk. It's ever so easy and quick in a Thermomix. So that's ground all those almonds down. Let me just show you what's happened. I did make a smoothie this morning, so my bowl was wet to start with, but that's nonetheless pretty good. So I'm just going to give it a quick scrape around the sides, and they were skin on almonds because it didn't tell me to remove the skin. I'm just going to see if I've got some ground almonds to hand in my cupboard, because if I have, I will add those in as well. I know I bought some yesterday, but this is a bit like the TARDIS, my cupboard. Have a little look in here. Possibly have to go out to my other larder room. Just bear with me one moment. Here we are. Excellent. Right, I knew I had some somewhere. I handily put them out of sight in the other room. So I'm just going to add in the missing 30 grams. I would like to run this recipe exactly as it is, just so that I know whether it works or it doesn't. And it won't be my fault if it doesn't work. Right, so now it says add 70 grams of honey. Let's pop in our 70 grams of honey. I suppose you could use maple syrup here if you wanted to. This is going to be our sweetener. 70 grams. 70 grams of coconut milk. Let's open my tin of coconut milk. There we are. Pour in our 70 grams. Can you see that all right there? Now, 400 grams. This is the interesting ingredient, which really made me sit up and take notice. And I thought, I've got to give this a go. I've done all sorts. So I did we've done raw chocolate brownies using the pulp, leftover pulp from making almond milk at demos. I've done vegan brownies with sweet potato as well. And they're all gluten-free and dairy-free. And vegan, we used a chia seed egg or a flax egg. I've done all sorts of things. And what else? There was some really, oh yes, black bean brownies as well. I don't know, Sally Ann, if you've discovered the recipe on Cookie Do for black bean brownies yet, but they're amazing. They're really fudgy. And again, they're refined sugar-free, they're vegan, dairy-free, everything free and gluten-free.
You'll have to send me the link. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, So really good. So again, it just shows you the sort of the variety of things available. If you look for it, will constantly find new inspiration. Okay, now a teaspoon of baking powder. So let's pop in. I'm going to get a clean teaspoon out because I don't want to put in the one that's covered. And have a little look what's going in there. Yeah, it's definitely going to need some more time. So I'm just going to up that cooking time a little bit. Put in a teaspoon of gluten-free baking powder. So that goes in. 2 teaspoons of natural vanilla extract. Military jets coming over. I'm making a right old noise outside.
Just going to make you a coffee now, Lyndsay.
Oh, that'd be fabulous. Coffee.
Okay.
You put some vodka in it.
I will do.
So let's put in the vanilla extract. Click on next and then put the lid on. And now it's asking me to turn that speed selector. Oh, I've got just getting Zara is coming in.
Sorry.
Hello. Right, just say hello to everyone. Say Zara's joined, and I think Philip.
Sorry.
That's okay. There we go.
Line troubles.
It happens. And now I just need to turn my speed selector to speed 5. So it's already programmed to mix for 7 seconds at speed 5. Obviously, no heat is being applied. So let's just have a look at that. Repeat chopping if needed, keeping measuring cup inserted. So I will give that a little stir. Yeah, I definitely need to repeat that because there are some whole chickpeas in there. Let's just repeat that again. And it tells me that it's chopping. So it tells me that what the process is doing. Chopping until all the chickpeas are cooked, are chopped. So let's have a little look and I'll wait for the lid to release. Yeah, that looks fine. Do you want to have a look at it and see what it looks like? There we go. So it kind of looks like a cake mixture, doesn't it? Now I'm going to add in some blueberries. So I'll just keep you with me while I do that. So it told me, there we go, 80 grams of fresh blueberries. So if you can see the screen. Oh, I've overshot. 80 grams. Combine with the spatula, that won't matter. So let's just show you what I'm doing over the top. Okay. And then I think we must put the rest of the blueberries on the top. It's quite a dense cake mixture, but we'll see. Pour into prepared baking tin. So if I just switch you back round again and top with fresh blueberries, pushing them in and then bake for 35 to 40 minutes. So although this probably won't bake within the rest of the time of the demo, I'll send Sally Ann some pictures so that she can share with you of all the finished dishes. So just let's put you back up there. And then I'm going to just decant it into the cake tin, just behind my Thermomix, and then push in the rest of those blueberries. So it certainly looks like a cake batter. Is this something that you would make? Would you give it a go, Sally Ann?
Yes, for sure. I'm definitely going to give that a go. I love chickpeas.
Yeah. Let's just get as much out as I can.
Zara's here as well now, I think.
Oh, hi, Zara. Welcome. Yeah. And now I'm just having trouble getting the last little bit out. So what I'm going to do is just pop my lid back on and then come back out of the recipe and go to my turbo function and just give it a couple of blasts of turbo just to spin all the ingredients that are stuck to the blades off to the side. So it's a bit like a centrifuge action, and it will just throw everything onto the side of the Thermomix bowl. So there we are. So it's just cleaned off those blades, and now I can really easily pick it up around the side with a spatula. Okay. Hello, sweetheart. I've got a little 2-year-old, well, she's not quite 2, nearly 2, just joined me. So let's get all of that in there. I think she's heard the word cake. And then I'm going to pat it down as best I can with a spatula. What's up? So it has to cook first, doesn't it? That goes in. And then I'm just going to put the rest of the blueberries over the top and then just push them in with my hands like it says. Okay, just push them in. Just make sure they're not left sitting on top. Otherwise, they will end up burning on the top. We want them pushed into the batter. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure you're going to want to lick this spoon, darling.
Sorry,
Not quite
ladies.
what you...
I have to go to pick up my child at school. Bye,
Okay.
and thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you for
bye,
joining
bye.
us.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay, so
Bye,
that's gone in.
Manuela.
Bye, Sally. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. See you later.
Okay, so that's what it looks like. Okay, so looks like a cake. Will it taste like a cake? Will my children eat it? That's the question. So all I'm going to do with that now is just pop that straight in the oven and let it bake away for about, I think it said 35 to 40 minutes. You just hop out the way, sweetheart. I'm going to open the oven door. Well done. So we need to put the timer on. Okay, so let's put the timer on because I don't want to forget it. And while I'm over here at the oven, so it's now nearly 11 o'clock and we've done 3 things. They definitely need more time, those rolls. They've only been in for about 15 minutes, I think. So we'll leave them to prove. Give my little girl a biscuit. So this is one of the fun things I made on the sourdough workshop at the weekend. Using the discard from the starter when we fed it, you can make all sorts of things. And I made Old English muffins on the Saturday, but on the Friday when we fed the starter, I made these chocolate chip cookies, which are made using sourdough discard. So it made a huge amount of them. I think we ended up with about 20 cookies. So that's what we've got left over. Right, okay. So now I'm going to show you how it cleans itself. So I'm going to pop in water to cover the blade. And then I'm just going to run the cleaning program so that it can clean itself while I get on with something else. This is one of the best features of the Thermomix that I absolutely love. Okay. I'm going to just select the cleaning program. I'm going to say it had dough in it because it was pretty sticky. So I want it to thoroughly clean the inside of that bowl for me. And while we're just waiting for our main dish to cook, we'll have the salmon. It's pretty good now, actually. I think I'm going to make some lemonade as a little bit of a bonus. Have you done this one, Sally Ann?
Yes, I have. You put the whole lemon in. It tastes amazing.
Yeah, that's it. So let's get this mixing bowl not in the correct position. That is the correct mixing bowl for this machine. Let's just see. It's having a bit of a It's having a bit of a paddy, this machine. It thinks it's got the wrong bowl inserted, but it definitely hasn't. That salmon's looking really good now. Okay. Come on, Thermomix, shut yourself down, or I'm going to have to pull the plug out so I can restart it. It's not liking this at all, so I'm just going to take the plug out of that Thermomix, pop it back in, and then fire it up again. Okay. So I'm going to stop the salmon while we're there because it is cooked now. And even so, that whole side of salmon took, I think I gave it an extra sort of 10 minutes, of which it's had about 8 minutes. So the whole of that has taken about 25 minutes to cook. Okay, so it's asking me to remove the varoma and set aside. Now, like I mentioned earlier, these machines are designed to be really versatile and designed to be as helpful as they can. So here's the lid that was cooking, that formed the lid of the Varoma unit. And now it can become a tray for the Varoma to sit on. So it's really hot, actually. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to lift it off with one hand. I need some oven gloves. So let's get the oven gloves and then I'll show you that. So pop it onto the tray. Okay, so here's my side of salmon. There we go. You can see it steamed away in there, cooked beautifully. And then the marinade, it's just sitting in the marinade. And I'm just going to take that to one side and pop another lid over the top so that it stays warm. I've got a little sandwich here of the lid underneath, the Varoma, and then a lid on top, which just allows me to keep it warm. So that's removing the Varoma. And then it's asking me to remove the simmering basket with the aid of a spatula. So here's my simmering basket. And remember I said we had the spatula which hooks in to the simmering basket to enable you to remove it. So there we go. So all my rice is cooked in there. And we've got this beautiful sort of tomato infused rice. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm just going to give it a stir so that you can see it. Okay. Just make sure all of that tomato sauce mixture has gone through the rice evenly. So I'm going to remove that and show that to you. I'll get a plate for it to sit on, I think. So that's my cooked rice. Can you see the rice cooked in there, infused with the tomato and the olive oil, and the parsley and some of the onions and garlic as well. So I'll just put that behind. And then inside the Thermomix, we have now got what is going to become the soup. So I'm just going to put the lid on. So all of that beautiful stock from the fish, steaming from the fish, the juices will have come down, will have infused into the tomato and onion and garlic mixture and the squash and the carrots in the bottom. And now we're just going to blend it together. So of course you can serve this as a sauce. You can also serve it as a soup on the side. So I'm just going to turn this around to speed 5. Again, following the instructions on the screen. And it's telling me it's blending, and then that's going to increase. We need to increase the speed gradually to speed 7. It's going to get quite loud. So I might have to shout in a minute. There we are. But luckily, when you're working at this speed, you would only do it for a minute or so. Right, I'm just going to find and see if I've got lemonade on here to do today. I'm not sure if I added it on today. No, it's not on there, but lemonade is on here. So if I go and search my recipes, I'm going to be able to find my lemonade recipe. I've got so many recipes on here, it's going to take a little while for it to run through them all. But we'll get there while it's blending. Oh, there we are. It's finished blending. Thankfully. Let's just pull up my lemonade. Lemon chicken, lemon curd. It should be before that.
The lemon curd is so good.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
Easy it is to make. Just put it in and press go.
I know, it's a bit like making a white sauce. Now, why is it not finding lemonade? Oh, here we are, lemonade. I've done it so many times. Okay, so start. Right. So all I'm going to do with this lemonade is put 100 grams of sugar. I'm not going to actually put in the full amount of sugar. I'm just going to put in about 80 grams of sugar in, just to reduce it a little bit. And again, like I said, you can play about with what suits you. And this is something that always fascinates people with a Thermomix, is you put your sugar in and then within 10 seconds, you can make icing sugar. So you don't need to buy anything other than regular white granulated sugar. You can even make brown sugar in your Thermomix as well, and golden syrup. So there's lots and lots and lots of basics and store cupboard essentials that you can make. Okay, so let's just show you that. So that's what's happened to that sugar, turned into icing sugar in 10 seconds. It will turn into caster sugar in about 2 seconds. So again, you don't have to have separate bags of sugar taking up space in your cupboard. Now it wants me to add in 2 lemons, 2 to 3 lemons and halved.
I do that now, Lyndsay. I buy all my sugar as granulated because it's so much sugar, and then I make as much icing sugar, and then I also put vanilla sticks in it, and then grind the granulated sugar with the vanilla sticks and make this beautiful vanilla icing sugar.
Absolutely, yeah, that's brilliant. And do you know what? I've not done that at all. Oh, what's it asking for here? This is a very different recipe to what I am used to doing. So I've just put my 3 lemons in. I know this off by heart, so I'm just going to go a bit off piste here and weigh in my 500 grams of water. It was wanting me to pulse those lemons up, but that's unnecessary. So I've got my sugar in there, the lemons and some water, and now I'm just going to program it for 2 seconds at speed 9. So I'm just going to go a bit off piste here and just hold on the top. 2 seconds at speed 9. Wait for that lid to release. And then top it up with another 500 grams of water. Okay, so that's the lemonade made. Obviously, you don't want to serve it like that. So what we do is the simmering basket that we've seen to cook the rice in now becomes a sieve. So you can see here, you've got little vents at the front. So if I pop that in and then hold it in place, if I take you back over again, you can watch me sort of decanting it out. Let's have a little look. So I haven't quite been cooking an hour, and I've already made it getting busier and busier in my kitchen. Let's try and tip you down here. There we are. And I've made a drink for everybody. I've made a main course. I've made some bread, and I've made a pudding. That's pretty good going. And that really just sums up what the Thermomix is all about. So here's my jug here ready to receive the lemonade mixture. I'm just going to hold it in place and then pour that lemonade in. Look at that. I mean, how easy was that? And you've got the benefit of that it contains 3 fresh lemons. Yes, you can play about with the sugar if you want to, but think of all that vitamin C. It has got some sugar in it, obviously, but I guarantee it probably have less sugar in it than the lemonade that you buy in the supermarket. And that's beautiful. It's very much like that old-fashioned sort of Sicilian lemonade that you get in Pizza Express. And it's cost me the cost of 3 lemons, which is about 70p, and I've got a whole litre of that. My children go absolutely wild for this lemonade, and we make different.
Being heady lover.
Yours, yeah.
Have your kids tried making that yet?
Oh, is she there?
I don't know if she's there.
I don't know. I was just saying to Karis a minute ago, I can't wait to go home and play with my Hermione. It's not the kids and my husband. They're out. I'm not bothered. I'm occupied, you know. That's what I just want to go home and play with it now.
Yeah, Andrea bought one.
No, it's good fun.
Gave it to her husband and kids to help them with the cooking while she's not there. I can't believe it. I'd have to have it with me.
I know. Driving me nuts.
So that's the lemonade, and I'm just going to serve. Let me pour that into a little glass. Do this little drop of that. Cheers. Pop round, Jill. I'll give you some lemonade. My turn to cook for you.
I'm going to go and make myself one right now.
That is delicious.
So I'm just going to sleep for 5.
And you can, in the summer, you can do watermelon lemonade, raspberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade. It's all done using the same sort of process. But you know, that was 2 seconds from whole lemons. And it's great fun to be able to do that for a picnic or when you've got friends around and the kids are in the garden. And it's just something a little bit different and exciting. But of course, you don't just stop at making lemonade and mocktails in a Thermomix. You can make cocktails. You can make your own eggnog liqueur, which is something that I want to do in the run up to Christmas. You can make all sorts of things, beautiful cocktails. I'm not a big cocktail drinker. I prefer wine, actually. But I've got friends of mine make amazing cocktails in their Thermomixes. So again, it just shows the versatility of the machine. You know, it will make you bread, it will make you main meals, it will make you soups, it will make you stews, it will make you curries. It'll also make you drinks. It will make you cakes and biscuits and dough. Right, dish up actually. We've made the soup now, so if I just show you what that soup looks like. So you've got beautiful sort of tomato vegetable soup in there, which has been blended up. The whole thing was done in just one machine. So instead of having to use something to cook the salmon in, something to then a separate pan for the rice, a separate pan to make the soup, a stick blender, it's all been done by this one machine, meaning that you don't have much washing up to do at the end of it. So I'm just going to take this little bit of salmon out. It smells amazing. Pop it onto a plate. Yeah, it's beautifully cooked. Way to do it. It's a bit of steamed fish. So, and then a little bit of rice. Let's be a bit chefy here. Pop it into a little ramekin and then turn it out. Should come out quite easily. And then I could actually use that ramekin to put a little bit of soup into. And of course, I mean, you could steam some green vegetables alongside this. That the bottom of that Varoma unit was empty, so I could put broccoli in there. You know, you could put potatoes in there if you wanted to, or steam some kale or some spinach or whatever it is. So that's the little salmon. Here's my tomato rice, and then obviously I've just put the soup into that little ramekin to serve it. So can you see that, how that's come together? And then, you know, you could put a little bit of parsley on the top to make it look a bit more interesting. So it's very red at the moment. Put a little bit of parsley on the top. And yes, of course, you could add some green vegetables to it, but that is a fantastic kind of family meal to serve out as well. And whilst you're doing it, you can serve them up a drink as well, obviously if you have a second Thermomix. So that I've been cooking for about an hour. Hopefully that has given you a real flavour now of what Thermomix is about. I was going to make a salad, actually, do a very quick chopped salad that I know we did at Sally Ann's during my first experience of Thermomix. And again, fantastic. You can just put in the broccoli, red pepper, an apple, the dressing ingredients, and then 7 seconds later, you've got a chopped salad. So I would have done that if I'd have remembered to get all the ingredients out of the fridge and wash them, but you haven't got that. A couple of other things that I wanted to show you with my yogurt. So I make all my own homemade yogurt, and I ferment it overnight. So you can sit in there, this overnight. I make the yogurt mixture up in the bowl. I decant it into glass jars. And then I set the glass jars into the Varoma unit, into that dish. I've got another one to hand here. There you go, it goes into the dish. So I can fit about 8 of them in there. And then I just can set it to ferment for me overnight. And 8 hours later, or 10 hours later, I come down and I've got beautiful yogurt. And it costs me about 70p, I think I worked out, for about 1,500 grams of beautiful homemade fresh yogurt.
The first thing I made.
And that is at least half price. Pardon? Yeah, brilliant, isn't it?
It was amazing.
About half the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you breaking up? I don't know. Did you want to say anything else, Andrea, before I continue? No, you done? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's brilliant to make yogurt. You can make the fruit compots to put them in the bottom. This tastes like the Muller yogurt. It's a beautiful, rich, creamy vanilla yogurt. I sometimes add a few little Smarties on top for the kids and make my own like Muller corners. And of course, you're saving all the plastic as well. So, you know, people buy Thermomixes for lots of different reasons. For some, it will be to save money in the kitchen because they are very over reliant on processed foods. Lots of people will be buying takeaways once a week and want to move away from that if they are going on a bit of a healthy eating drive. And lots of people are wasting money on processed food and prepared food in the supermarket, and think that they want to reduce their food bills a little bit. And having a Thermomix in your kitchen allows you to do that because you can make so much from scratch. And again, this is one of the things, I don't know, Andrew, if you've done this, the vegetable stock paste, which you can make with just leftover vegetables, raw vegetables, you know, the tops that you cut off of carrots, the peelings from vegetables even. You can make, every time I do this, I get nearly a kilogram of stock paste out. I put all the vegetables and herbs into my Thermomix with a load of salts and white wine. It grinds it all down for me in about 20 seconds, and then it cooks it for 40 minutes. So I can just walk away at that point. It stirs, it cooks, it temperature controls, and I come back and all I've got to do is just decant it into a jar. So that stops me having to buy those little stock pots. So it stops me consuming the plastic packaging. I know exactly what's in it. There's often things in those little stock cubes and stock pots that frankly shouldn't be there. So when I add my own stock paste to my soups and my stews and my curries, I know exactly what's in it, and it's just full of fresh ingredients, and it's saving me money as well because I don't need to go and buy them in the supermarket.
We do that.
Freeze that, Lyndsay?
Pardon?
Can you freeze that?
Yes.
You could freeze it if you wanted to, yeah, but I mean, this will keep. So I made this about 6 months ago, and I'm still using it.
I make it and I put it in the smaller little pots. I put it in the little ramekin pot. Is ramekin, right? Those little pots with the seal with the plastic, and I put them in the freezer. So I use one because it does last for ages. It makes so much, you know, and then you only need one. I think 1 teaspoon is 500 mils of water. It makes a beautiful stock, and I just throw it into everything because it tastes fantastic. But then when I'm almost done, I take another one out. And by the way, I just quickly, I had to go make myself a lemonade, having seen drinking one.
You're just showing off now. Cheers. Where's my lemonade? I don't know where I put it down now. I think I must have put it. Where did I put it? This is where I normally have people calling out on these demos. It's behind you. Oh, here it is. It's just off to the side. Cheers, Sally Ann.
Oh, cheers.
We'll have a drink
Sophie's
together.
arrived while I ran off to make lemonade. Hi, Sophie.
Hello. But what have you got in there? Because yours is darker than mine.
Right,
have you used coconut sugar?
I've stopped buying white sugar. Even my icing sugar is now made from unrefined brown sugar, and it just think it's got a lovely caramel flavour, and it definitely helps the lemonade. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, brilliant. So, you know, what are the other kind of things that we can make with the Thermomix? Obviously, you know, jams. Sally Ann mentioned lemon curd or lime curd or orange curd. So, I mean, you literally juice a lemon with some zest, add some sugar, add some egg, either whole eggs or egg yolks, and then click start. And 4 minutes later, you've got lemon curd. I mean, why? And actually, I've got some in my...
It's obscene how good it is and how easy it is. It's too easy because then you just use the whole jar really fast and make some more because you know you can. It's really
absolutely fast. So here's my jar of lemon curd in there. And then this is quite fun. I don't know if you've done this yet, but Sally Ann, tomato ketchup.
I haven't tried that. I should try that.
Yeah, this is brilliant. So this tastes just like the Tracklements ketchup, which we used to buy in a posh deli. And I think the Tracklements cost, it's something like £3 or £4 a jar. And I worked out that a jar of this cost me less than £1. So again, when I make this, I'm saving money. And that is really the Thermomix ethos. It's about buying those cheaper, simpler, fresher ingredients and being able to cook it yourself from scratch, but in a fraction of the time and with a fraction of the effort and mess that you would normally do if you were just cooking in a traditional way.
And even likes making the tomato soup that's got a sweet potato in it, and that sweet potato recipe turns the tomato soup into Heinz cream of tomato soup. It tastes actually almost the same, if not slightly better. And Stephen just makes it for the kids. Oh, can we have tomato soup? And he just goes and makes it in the Thermomix because he loves making it.
No, it's brilliant. And Sally, and I think while you were making up your own lemonade, this is the sort of the finished dish with the salmon, and then I've got some. Oh no, there's my salmon. It's back to front. Then the rice, and then the tomato soup in there. And I was explaining to everybody else that we could have put some green vegetables into that Varoma unit as well to steam underneath. Just to give it a little bit of, you know, something else on the plate. But, you know, that is the sort of the whole ethos behind it, being able to produce a whole meal just using the Thermomix. And so what else do I need to tell you? Have you enjoyed that, ladies? Have I blown your mind? I hope I've sort of given you something really to think about and explained why Sally Ann is just such a big fan of Thermomix. And why we all are.
UK.
Yeah, why we all are. And I mean, Heston Blumenthal's got 15 of them in his development kitchen. And actually one of his dishes can only be cooked in a Thermomix because of its ability to temperature control. So yeah, you've got professional Michelin-starred chefs all around the world using these. And if any of you watch MasterChef The Professionals, you will see the Thermomix is on the bench whenever they do their cooking. Interestingly enough, they're never used on the skills test because, of course, they make it too easy for the chefs to do things.
So, Lyndsay, when will you be having your own channel on TV?
Oh,
no, it's brilliant. You're really good at it.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Well, food for thought, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah.
Because you want to get around and anybody that wants to ask any questions. And have you got anything else? You cooked everything now? You've got the bread rolls.
I'm cooked. So the bread rolls, let me just show you what's happening to those, because they've risen beautifully. They're just about ready to cook, actually. Can you see those? Just give them a little. So all they will take, I'm going to let them go another few minutes, actually, because my oven wasn't quite warm. Oh, thank you, Jo. So I'm going to give them another few minutes just to spring up a little bit more. And then all you need to do is put them in about 180-degree oven and cook them for 15 minutes. And now you saw them made from scratch. How easy was that to do? And that applies to all bread. I mean, I make white sliced farmhouse loaves in exactly the same way. I can just remove my dough from the Thermomix, put it straight in the tin and leave it to rise. I'm in pizza dough in here. Sally Ann and I briefly talked about this before the demo today. I mean, again, 2 minutes. And my white pizza dough I use not just for pizzas, but I make flatbreads with it, I make naan bread with it, and I make pizza bread with it. So really, really easy and quick. And then, of course, once you've made your dough, you can just continue on to make your main meal, and you don't have to wash anything up in between. So it's really, really handy. So hopefully after that, some of you will be thinking, oh, I might like a Thermomix on my Christmas list. Is anybody thinking that, you know, they would benefit from having a Thermomix in their kitchen? They can see, you know, how it could help them and their families. Yeah. So you probably, the last thing I perhaps should explain to you is the cost of it and how you go about buying it. So a Thermomix costs £11.49, so £1,149. It comes with absolutely everything, all the attachments that you need, apart from the blade cover. We bought out a blade cover last year, which is mostly used for slow cooking, actually, to stop the meat being in contact with turning blades. That's only about £19. We offer payment plans, so you can buy a Thermomix from as little as £1.20 a day. So the plans run over 1, 2 and 3 years. And they are provided, the finance is provided with a bank called Icano Bank, which are part of IKEA. So they're big, reputable, usually store credit providers. So I think they actually run the Next Directory account. So on a 3-year plan, it would cost you £36 a month to have a Thermomix in your kitchen. On a 2-year plan, it would cost you £55 or £56 a month. And on a 3-year plan, it will cost you about £96 a month. Now, every single one of my customers says that they save at least twice what they pay for their Thermomix on a daily basis. So if you think you're spending £1.20 a day on this on the 3-year plan, all you've got to save is £1.20 a day, really, to offset the cost of your Thermomix. And it can easily be done. I mean, I think I would save myself at least, and I set myself goals, at least £3 to £4 a day using a Thermomix. What can I make today that's going to stop me having to buy something in the supermarket? And all my customers will tell you that they offset their cost of their Thermomix within about a year. So it's an investment. Yes, normally I actually give the price first and then see who drops off the call. I'm only teasing you. Because it is always the elephant in the room and everybody always goes, how much? And actually I understand that, because it was what stopped me buying it for so many years when I first saw it, and including at Sally Ann's, and she's like, you're not buying one. I was like, oh, they're very expensive. But actually, you know, hands down, hand on heart, I can tell you that every single one of my customers, even those that cook from scratch already, say they still save money. And I've got a lady who told me just the other week that she reckons she saves at least £10 off her food shopping a week. And she was a scratch cook. She said it's really been quite incredible. And that's being able to make things like this and the yogurt. And even though she cooked from scratch, she wasn't making curds and jams and Nutella for the children and tomato ketchup and all those other things, and homemade butter. Amazing. That's about between half and 2/3 of the cost of actually buying butter. And again, very useful when the supermarkets run out of butter during lockdown. And if you've still got cream, you can make it yourself. So I hope, yes,
can you,
Kellyanne.
because I've got a TM5 and Stephen wants a TM6.
Yes.
We're thinking of getting a TM6 and then giving the TM5 to a villa in Cyprus.
Yes.
Or selling it, but
yeah.
Can you just run through, because is there a Black Friday deal or something that's running?
Yes, well remembered, before I forget to tell you. So yes, this week is Black Friday. We started our deal on the 17th of November and it runs up until the 30th of November. And we are doing a bundle of a TM5 and a TM6 for $15.99. Okay, so if you think the TM6 is $11.49 on its own, we're giving you 2 machines effectively. So the 5, which I've got here, which is still a great machine, and again, the reason that I bought my first Thermomix in the first place, and a 6 for about $15.99. So just £450 more than the cost of the 6 on its own. And again, we've got the finance plans available for that. So it's a really good offer. These 5 sell on eBay, even used ones sell on eBay for about £500, £550. And my old team leader sold both her 5s in the summer, and she got £750 each for them. So it's quite an incredible bundle. And that will be available up until the end of November. And a lot of people say, well, why do I need 2 Thermomixes? But I can guarantee you most owners very quickly come to rely on their Thermomixes. And there is definitely a place for a second Thermomix in the kitchen, because whilst one is doing, I mean, you've seen 3, this is extreme. You don't have to buy 3 Thermomixes. And again, usually I say that at the start, I demonstrate these and it just speeds up my demonstration. But most people that buy a Thermomix and they use it so much, they come to rely on it, that it's really useful to have a second one in your kitchen to be able to do, the bread or the pudding, or steam some rice while you're cooking a main meal, or or whatever that is, or make cocktails.
Yeah, I think we only need the one because but we have 2 bowls. So what happens is we're using it with 1 bowl, and then instead of spending time washing it up or it washing itself, I can just switch the bowls over and start the next recipe. And of course, when I'm cooking, I'm not like a busy bee like Lyndsay. I like put the recipe on, and then that 20-minute gap, I don't make other stuff. I go off and sit down and let them make it. So I've got a different cooking ethic to Lyndsay. But yeah, I am interested in potentially budding with somebody else that if they're interested in getting one Thermomix and there's a package of 2, I might be interested in purchasing one.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. No, that's a good way of doing it. And so in order to order them, I mean, for those of you that I'm not connected with on Facebook, if you want to follow me and find out a little bit more about it, my customer, I'm very active on Facebook. My customer group is it's called Thermomix Whiz Customer Group. I'm sure Sally Ann can invite you to join it. It's well worth having it if you're sort of thinking about it and wondering whether you'd use it or what do people do with their machines. I have a lot of customers that post on a daily basis just to show people what they're cooking and inspire you to sort of use your Thermomixes, to use them in like ways that you sort of never even thought about, or to try different dishes. And again, you know, this is something that I usually cover at the start. Buying a Thermomix gives you access to a beautiful community, a real warm and friendly community of owners and advisors that are just passionate about helping inspire you to use your machines. And I think, you know, that's one of the best things about Thermomix for me, is that it's brought me together with people that I never had met before. A lot of them have become very, very good friends of mine on this journey, and we all learn together. And so, you know, having a Thermomix, it's not something that's just going to be stuck in a cupboard and you won't get any support with. The whole idea is that you buy them through an advisor. So don't just go off and order on a website. We've opened up, through lockdown, we've opened up the ability for customers to be able to go and order directly on the website. I think that's wrong. Previously, you could only buy them through an advisor. And we did that because we provide you with 5-star service and support you to use and get the most out of your Thermomix every single day. So you will be missing a huge amount if you do that, and I also don't get paid as well. So if you are thinking about it, please do come and have a chat with me first. And you know, there's never any obligation. These demos are run just as sort of like cookery classes, just to really, for me to be able to show off my love of what I do. And you get access to all the demos that I run. I run regular demos online as well. I run a personal one-to-one demo for you when you have your machine, if you want. And Andrea and I did this as well when her family bought a machine, or she bought a machine for her family back in September. We can do that virtually, and I will help you get started and get going with your machine and be there to share all my advice and, you know, recipes, ideas with you. Right, I've got a beeper going off in my ear, so I think that is, oh dear. Yes, I missed the vital instruction that said put a little bit of foil over the top to stop it going too brown, but never mind. I will just dust a little bit of icing sugar over the top of that, I think. And they'll never know. Right, where are my oven gloves? Let me show you the brownies. So it's really good actually that just talking for that extra few minutes has allowed me to show you those brownies. So that's what the those brownies look like. Or they're not really brown. Yes, I suppose they are brownies actually, and they're beautifully cooked. So I'll just waft a little bit of icing sugar over those, and I'll allow them to go cold. And then hopefully, actually, that's, yes, here we go. Here are my rolls. So can you see now they've really come up, and they are just going to go straight in the oven that I've taken the cake out of. So let's just pop those in and I'll bake them for another 15 minutes. So you've pretty much seen everything actually in the demo. But yeah, you know, if you are thinking about buying one of these, yeah, like I said, please do come and have a chat with me first, or talk to Sally Ann and she'll point you in my direction. Or who's me, or Andrea, yes. Because the last thing we want you to do is go off, and the internet forums are full of people now we pick up saying they bought their Thermomix online, they don't have a clue what they're doing with it. And so, you know, that really sums it up for me, what I do and the value that I add, because I will get you cooking with it and saving you money. So that's it. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, thank you.
Have you all learned something new?
Yes.
Yeah.
Smell-o-vision would be lovely for the next
Oh,
time.
I know.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, So this is Thea. Hello, hello. You don't need your dummy, do you? Oh, I wondered why she was quiet, but she went off with that huge chocolate cookie that I gave her. So that's now all round her face and probably all round the playroom as well. But anyway, she's had fun. I couldn't get you into nursery today, could I? Yeah, she likes to say hello to everybody. And yeah, I mean, if any of you want to host your own demos like Sally Ann's done, and introduce it to your group of friends, you know, I'm always looking for opportunities to just show off this amazing machine, and we give you a gift for doing that. So Sally Ann's earned herself a beautiful silicone. Oh yes, your rabbit, isn't it, Harry? Rabby.
I didn't know that. See, you're giving me a gift. Oh, cool.
I'm giving you a gift for hosting. So actually one of these, let me show you. This is our November host gift. They're wonderful. So these silicone baking mat.
Oh, I need one of those.
It's yours. Yeah, they're worth about £20. So and you can get hold of it for free by hosting a demo. So again, if anybody's interested in doing that and wants to see it again, then I'd be only too happy to do it for you as well. Oh my. She's now found the yogurt because she loves the yogurt. So she's now got the jar and taking the lid off. Brilliant when they get to this age. And now she's going to get a spoon for herself out the drawer, I think. Or no, she's getting a bowl to decant it into.
Have any questions? Do you want to go around?
Yeah, did I?
Any questions?
Just have a look. Thanks very much. Really interesting.
Can I ask a few questions? One, how long would you expect that to last?
What, the Thermomix?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they are pretty much indestructible. So the German engineering, German technology, yeah, I mean, this Prue actually has an old TM31. The 31s are 20 years old, and she refuses. Oh, God, let me just. I'm just going to empty out her yogurt for her now. This was what I was going to use to start the next lot of yogurt with, Mrs. So I can only give you half of it because I need some left like a starter to start my yogurt. There we are. Have a little bit in a bowl. Go and take that then.
Yeah, Julie, I know some friends who've got a TM31, this one that's 20 years old, and they've still got theirs. And I showed them the modern one. I said, look at the modern one. And she's like, yeah, but I really like my TM31 and it's still working fine.
Is there a big difference?
I think
she's got one she had as a wedding present. She swears by it.
Oh, wow.
So there is a huge difference, and actually, interestingly enough, my neighbour, when I first moved here about 5 years ago, my neighbour, when she found out I was a chef and what I did, said, have you got a Thermomix? And I went, oh no, I haven't, I don't need one of those. And she said, I've got a Thermomix, and she's got a 31, and she absolutely, she said, why don't you borrow it? She was not involved in the business, not selling them, but she just so passionate about her machine. And I always say to her, I'm actually really glad I never borrowed it, because I don't think I would have found it as impressive as these. So the 31s are all manual. They don't have these screens. They've just got dials that you have to manually preset all those functions. So, oh, bye, Joe. Thanks for letting me know.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thank you.
enjoy it. Bye.
Let's go as well. Bye.
So you can still follow Cookie Do recipes on them, but you have to, and this was in the days before Cookie Do launched. So we would have what they call a recipe community, which is still active. And there are recipes on there approved by Vorwerk, but also posted by other Thermomix owners. And those recipes are all detailed out in terms of time, temperature, and speed. And you would just manually preset the functions. So none of these step-by-step recipes on the screen, but they still have the Varoma, and yes, they still work. And if you look often on the television programs, if chefs are using Thermomixes, they either use the 5 or they'll be using a TM31, because they're just workhorses. And like I said, Prue still got hers, and she refuses to upgrade because she says, you know, she loves it. It does everything that she wants it to do. Although it won't make things like the latest upgrade with the 6, it will make caramel. So you can make all your sugar stages and honeycomb at the touch of the button, and the other machines don't go up that high to do it. Yeah, I mean, I took mine when I first had it. We went on holiday. I took it in my motorhome to go camping in France. And you can't do it anymore with the 6, but you used to be able to just put the the basin, I don't know if you've ever done this, Sally Ann, without clicking the beads and the bottom of the bowl in, the machine will work without the bowl being fully assembled. So I just merrily, I don't know, I was half asleep one morning, staggered out of bed, thought, oh, I'll make crepes for everybody, put the bowl in without the base, started pouring milk in, thinking, why are my scales going backwards? And then I realised that I hadn't actually put the whole thing together, and there was milk, it had flooded all through the machine, all inside it, all round the bottom. It was everywhere. It had gone down all of my units in the motorhome. And I spent about the next hour with the hose outside, hosing it out, thinking it was about 2 months old at this point, this machine. Thinking I've knackered it, it's never going to work again. And I let it dry out. So I looked on the forums for advice, and everybody's saying, oh, it's absolutely fine. It was quite a common problem, which they've now resolved. So the scales, the whole Thermomix won't operate without the bowl being assembled correctly. And the general consensus was, as long as it didn't have oil in it, you'd be absolutely fine. So I let it dry out. The screen was all watermarked behind, but got back to England a couple of weeks later, plugged it in, and it's still going strong nearly 3 years later. So yeah, they're pretty good. And we've got a 2-year warranty on them as well. And Thermomix are really good about repairs. Too, I had a friend who lent her Thermomix to one of her friends. And no, I'm not going to let you have any more, darling. You can have another little bit of this biscuit. And the friend put the Thermomix on her hob. And it says quite clearly in instructions, do not put it on a hob or on or near a heat source. Let's pick you up because you want me to come with you. And unfortunately, the hob, it's the stuff of horrors, got switched on, burnt a huge hole in the bottom of her Thermomix, smashed all the glass hob as well. My friend was distraught, but got in touch with Bulwark, explained the situation, and because it was within warranty, they came and picked it up for her free of charge, repaired it free of charge, and sent it back to her within a week. So that just shows you the sort of the service that you get.
You had a second question, did you?
Yes. Is there another question?
Yeah, and this is the lazy side asking. You set that up earlier, or you've moved. You set that up for cleaning. How? All you did is put water in that. How? What's that?
So, let me show you. So I put water. Did I put a little? I should have put a little spot of washing up liquid in there as well. Okay. You see, it's all foamy. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to empty that out now and show you. Empty it out. So there we are. That's what's happened. So all I need to do is go round it with my little sort of washing up brush. Give it a bit of a sort of flash round, and then just rinse it out, and that's that done. Yeah, so they're really good. Are there any other questions?
Can you make ice cream in it?
Yeah.
Lyndsay?
So so the way you make ice cream, it hasn't got a freezing function, but so ice cream has got a custard base usually. So you can make ice cream in a couple of different ways. You can either do it with a condensed, you can do like a cheats gelato with condensed milk and double cream and whip it and then freeze it. Or you can just make a custard base, like a chocolate or a vanilla custard, and flavour that. You can, cardamom. What else can we put in there? Coffee, all sorts of things. And then you would freeze the custard. And then what you do is you bring it out once it's frozen. So after about 8 hours, you bring it out, cut it into sort of squares. Let it kind of warm up for about 10 minutes before you cut it. Otherwise, you won't get through it. And then you put the squares back into the Thermomix, and it will blend it for you in about 30 seconds. So it will just grind all those ice crystals down and produce a very smooth and creamy ice cream. Actually, one of the things I often do at demos, and I did think about it today, but I thought we'd do the chickpea one. All right, you can have the lemon as well. There we are. Now after the lemonade, my children miraculously, when I finish a demo, all flood in usually because they know those goodies. So I often do a frozen fruit sorbet. Now Sally Ann will have done this many times. which is literally a bag of frozen fruit. So cherries, blueberries, mango, pineapple, whatever you want, bananas if you want. You can also cut up and freeze your own fruit if you freeze it on an open tray. You know, raspberries, strawberries in the summer. Freeze any fruit that is slightly past its best, and then you can pop it into the Thermomix and you can blend it into an ice cream in about a minute and a half by grinding up some sugar to start with, making that icing sugar, and then using the Thermomix to blend the frozen fruit with the sugar into an ice cream. Now, it's a sort of a soft serve. You would have to make and serve it. It doesn't really freeze very well, that particular type. But it's nonetheless brilliant for kids after school on a hot day. We lived on it during lockdown, and when the kids were being homeschooled, it was their afternoon treat. We would make, you can make what they call a berry foam as well. So you can put an egg white in there and then put the whisk in and whisk it up, and it foams up like a beautiful mousse. And I know Andrew and we cooked that together, didn't we, on your welcome visit when you first had your machine with your husband.
And that whisk, I don't know if you showed it when I was making my lemonade, but the water from the chickpeas, if you put that into the Thermomix with the whisk, it literally turns into egg white, like a meringue, and you can add the icing sugar to it and then make meringues from it. So, and that's a completely vegan one. She's disappeared.
Yeah, sorry, I've disappeared because now I've just.
And the other thing I was going to say is that when we buy lots of bananas, sometimes the children just eat bananas, and we buy loads, and then sometimes they just go off them for a few days. And if bananas go brown and spotty, it's the perfect time to peel them. I break them into 3 or 4 pieces and I put them in the freezer. And then when they ask for ice cream, I just throw 3 or 4 chunks of banana into the Thermomix, whiz it up within 45 seconds or so. You've got this beautiful whipped frozen banana ice cream just from frozen banana, and it's a good cheat. It's a good trick and
Yeah, no, it's really good. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do. Are there any other questions before we finish? No?
Well, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me this morning, ladies, and again, thank you, Sally Ann.
Lovely, thank you.
Organised your present. Okay, so thanks again, everybody.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Did you want to stay on, Sally Ann, for a couple of minutes? Have a bit of a chat? Yeah.
Is it wrong to want one for yourself?
No, absolutely not.
Julie, can I just have a chat with Julie before Julie goes? Because I haven't met Julie yet. She's new to the competition. She's flying out at some point or driving.
We're driving out on the 28th of December.
8th of December.
28th. We're going to be here for Christmas. I'm going to hopefully we're allowed to have Christmas with my mum, and then we'll drive out on the 28th. That's the plan at the moment. So
yeah, I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's good. I really, when you said you were doing this, I thought, oh, I can do that one. That's
there's a lot you can't.
Yes, you can do it virtually.
My Thermomix.
Yeah. Well, it's a great. I've never even heard of it. When you Thermomix, I didn't know what you were talking about. I just came along to meet everybody. So, but actually, it's a really good idea.
That's your first mistake.
Was it? Well, yeah. Well, I was a
bit
bit worried when I looked at yours and I thought, oh my God, she's got 3.
You don't need 3, but you kind of want 3 after. You kind of want 2, but you don't. We're fine with just 1. But Steve, if we had a bigger kitchen, like when we get back to the UK, I could imagine having 2 on the side.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking when we come out there, we've got the room for it, but when we come back here, we wouldn't have room for it. Certainly not for 2 on there. So,
So
why, Andrew? Did you say you've already got one?
Yeah, there's a bit of
yes.
If you had 2, you'd be eating non-stop.
Yeah, you don't need to. Promise.
Probably you might need more because you're doing different things. Do you know what I mean?
Julie, what it does as well is
those rolls. I've just there's the rolls baked. There we go. That's worthwhile staying on having a chat.
I bought one. It's the moral of the story is whatever you do, don't get sucked in by Sally Ann because she's so enthusiastic about everything you can't help. Oh, well, Sally Ann's got one of these, it's great, and I want one. And Sally Ann does this, I want some. Do you know what I mean? So now got me with the Thermomix.
Is this my warning before I come out there?
Huh?
I get very
Is that my warning
enthusiastic
before I
about
come out
everything.
there?
But I bought one thinking that, do you know what, to be a really good addition for the family, because they're always, oh, they don't have time for this, they don't have time for that, they don't have time for the other. Thinking, great, they can use it. Oh no, they drive me mental because they still spend an absolute fortune on takeaways when they.
Oh, that's because you're not there.
Well, I know. So yeah, but when I get back in July next year, that'll be it. Be cracking the whip. You know what I
But
mean?
your boys have made quite a few things, haven't they, Andrea, already?
They've made donuts in it, they've made curry in it, but Jacob makes curry anyway before we got the Thermomix. So they've both got like their sort of, what do you call it, like their showstopper dish that they both can make, because I've made it a few times now, that they can both make from scratch. So Thomas is a good stew and dumplings and Jacob does a good chicken curry, so you know.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but Julie, yeah, it's an awesome bit of kit. And what we found was we didn't have much cupboard space, and so